You've been sensing something, haven't you? That subtle stirring every time you run your fingers through your hair or catch your reflection in a mirror at the wrong hour. It's not vanity, it's not random. It's the quiet truth that your hair has been carrying messages long before you realized it. Every strand is like a diary, a timeline written in keratin and memory, holding impressions of the atmospheres you've walked through. You don't just wear your crown. You live inside it, and it remembers. There are seasons when the crown feels heavy, almost too much to bear. You try to shake it off, but the weight isn't physical, it's spiritual. The crown records what the heart endures. Arguments that lingered too long, prayers you whispered in the middle of the night, the shame you tried to bury, all of it, somehow gets woven into those strands. And then there are the other days. The days when your hair feels light, almost buoyant, as though heaven itself is lifting it. That isn't just good weather or better products. That's alignment. That's atmosphere. Your crown doesn't lie. It speaks, softly but persistently. When you ignore it, the message grows heavier. When you attend to it, clarity surfaces. Think about it. Why does a simple act like washing your hair suddenly feel like releasing a burden? Why does trimming away what's dead and split feel like you're cutting away more than just fibers? Because you are. The crown has always been more than appearance. It's your first antenna, the most visible testimony of your unseen life. Here's the hinge. You thought the unease was paranoia, but it was perception. That cold shift you felt when someone stood too close, that subtle wave of discomfort when a hand reached toward your head, that wasn't random. It was your crown warning you. Just like roots push deep to drink water, your hair senses when the atmosphere around you has changed. It knows when peace has entered and when shadow lingers nearby. It knows because it's been living in it. The Most High designed it that way, not just for beauty, not just for ornamentation, but for discernment. Your crown is the halo you didn't choose, but the one you inherited. It sits there every day, silently telling the truth. You may not have listened before, but you're listening now. So pause, breathe, and lean into this revelation. Your hair isn't just hair. It is your living crown, a sacred antenna, a witness to your journey. It remembers where you've been, it reflects who you are, and it whispers what you're stepping into. From this point forward, begin to hear what it's been saying. The crown has been speaking, and now you're finally ready to answer. Look closer, chosen one. Every strand of hair is a story with two voices. The roots speak of beginnings, of the atmospheres you were born into, the energy you've absorbed without choice, and the ends, those fragile tips, whisper about where you've traveled, the burdens carried too long, the seasons you tried to ignore but never escaped. Roots remember, ends report. Think of your roots as archives. They hold the imprint of what entered your life when the strand was first formed. Stress, joy, neglect, blessing, it all settles into the crown before the world even sees it. This is why beginnings matter. The moment of origin shapes the journey, and if the root was born in chaos, the strand will carry that story all the way until the end, unless it's redeemed. Now, consider the ends, the split, the fray, the dryness that no product can fully cover. It isn't just biology, it's testimony. The ends tell on you. They reveal the agreements you held onto for too long, the habits you allowed to linger, the spiritual contracts you forgot to break. Every frayed tip is like a whisper. This season has expired, but you refuse to let go. That's why trimming is not vanity, it's covenant reset. When you take scissors to dead ends, you're not just cutting fibers, you're releasing agreements that no longer serve your calling. You are telling heaven, This pattern stops here. Just as pruning a tree invites new growth, trimming away lifeless strands invites the crown to breathe again. Your ends may look small, disposable, insignificant, but in the spirit, they testify. Let's trace the root and the report together. You wash, but do you renew? You style, but do you discern? The crown doesn't simply ask for attention, it asks for alignment. Every root you nurture is a declaration of your new beginnings. Every end you release is a decree that delay, deception, or stagnation no longer belongs in your atmosphere. Here's the truth. You can't control what the roots once absorbed. You didn't choose the atmosphere you were born into, or the jealousy whispered in childhood, or the silent battles around you. But you can choose how the strand ends. You can decide that the report it carries will not remain frayed, exhausted, or unfinished. You can let scissors speak for you, trimming away yesterday's burdens, so tomorrow's story can grow clean. So the next time you look at your hair, don't see just length or texture. See history and prophecy. See roots that remember but don't define you. See ends that report but don't condemn you. And when it's time, don't hesitate to reset the covenant. A single trim can shift the atmosphere because heaven honors even the smallest act of alignment. Chosen one, your crown doesn't just exist to sit there in silence. It longs to be nourished, renewed, spoken over. Think of it as a sacred altar resting above your very thoughts. And like any altar, it responds to what you pour upon it. Oil, water, and words. These three elements become the daily liturgy for your crown. Not superstition, not vanity, but alignment. Let's begin with oil. In Scripture, oil has always symbolized consecration. Kings were anointed with it, prophets were sealed by it, and healers carried it as a vessel of blessing. When you anoint your crown, even with the simplest oil, you are reminding the unseen that your head belongs to heaven, not to harm. You are sealing the antenna that picks up frequencies all around you, and it doesn't need to be dramatic. A drop massaged into your scalp in the quiet morning hours can shift your entire day. That fragrance becomes a shield, invisible but undeniable, marking your atmosphere before you even step outside. Now, water. Water is more than cleansing, it is renewal. Every time you wash your hair, you are baptizing your crown. Think about it. The residue of yesterday, the pollution of the streets, the heaviness of unspoken words, they all try to linger, but water washes them away. It's not just about dirt, it's about energy. It's about memory. Your strands carry yesterday's weight until you release it, and water is heaven's reset button. When you let water flow over your head, whisper something like, "Every shadow is gone, every heaviness lifted." That's not ritual, that's alignment. You are simply agreeing with what your spirit already knows, that you deserve to walk light, not heavy. And then there are words. Words spoken over your crown matter more than most realize. Haven't you noticed how someone's careless comment about your hair can sit with you for weeks, even years? That's because the crown receives language like seed. If negativity can linger that long, imagine how powerful it is when you choose to speak life over it. Whisper blessings as you part your hair, declare peace as you detangle, speak clarity when you style. Your words vibrate into the strands, turning routine into devotion. Here's the truth. Oil consecrates, water cleanses, words recalibrate. Together, they form a trinity of care that isn't about beauty trends, it's about spiritual hygiene. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to overthink it. Just practice it. Morning by morning, night by night, let these three fold into your rhythm. Oil to shield, water to renew, words to guide. Seal this with wisdom. You are not just maintaining hair, You are tending to your halo. You are declaring to heaven and to yourself that the crown will never again be left vulnerable to shadow or neglect. Every time you honor it with oil, water, and words, you are not simply grooming. You are aligning. Chosen one, your hair does not just lie still on your head. It weaves, it twists, it knots, and in those patterns are parables about your life. Some braids are holy, and some tangles are dangerous. The difference is not in appearance, but in alignment. Entanglements drain you, braids sustain you, and your crown knows the difference even before you do. Think of a braid. 3 strands woven together, each strand supporting the others. That is what covenant feels like. It is intentional, ordered, and strong. A braid whispers of commitment, family, faith, community that binds without suffocating. It holds because you allowed it, because you chose wisely who and what gets woven into your crown. Braids are sacred agreements, partnerships that shelter your spirit instead of stealing from it. Now think of entanglements. They don't start neat. They sneak in quietly. One careless knot, one overlooked strand, one hurried gesture, and suddenly a web has formed. Unlike a braid, an entanglement is unchosen. It holds you without permission. It knots your crown until you feel heaviness every time you touch it. Spiritually, that's how unhealthy ties work. Words spoken carelessly, agreements you never meant to sign, influences that wrap around you without consent. They tangle your crown until it can't breathe. The lesson is simple but urgent. Not every connection is covenant. Some are cords, some are snares. And your hair, the halo you carry, becomes the metaphor your spirit has been trying to tell you all along. If detangling feels exhausting, maybe the same is true in your relationships. If braiding feels secure, maybe your soul is ready for alignment. Shift the lens now. Begin to see braids not only as style but as a statement. Who gets woven into your crown? What voices are allowed near your headspace? If you wouldn't trust someone's hands in your hair, why trust their words in your spirit? The crown is the first line of discernment. Listen to it. And when knots appear, do not panic. Knots are not curses. They are calls to attention. Patiently separate them, strand by strand, with wisdom. Just as you would detangle gently, do the same with spiritual cords. Don't rip, don't rage, don't react. Detangle with care, with clarity, with the calm authority that comes from knowing your crown belongs to heaven. So the next time your hands move through your hair, ask yourself, am I tending to braids or wrestling with entanglements? One gives life, the other drains it. And your crown, faithful and quiet, will always tell you the truth. Chosen one, every time you face a mirror, you are not just checking reflection, you are standing at a threshold. The mirror is a truth gate. It shows you more than strands, more than styles. It reveals the atmosphere clinging to your crown, whether you want to see it or not. That's why some days you avoid your own reflection. Something in you knows the mirror is waiting to tell the truth. Mirrors are not passive. They are thresholds where two realities meet, the seen and the unseen. When you lean in, you don't just see hair, you see testimony. The way your crown falls, the way it resists or flows, the way it refuses to obey your hand, all of these are signals. You can pretend it's just a bad hair day, but your spirit knows better. Your crown reflects the story of the season you're standing in. That's why discernment belongs in front of the mirror. Before you style, before you cut, before you choose what story your crown will carry into the world, pause. Ask yourself quietly, what truth is my crown telling me today? Don't rush past that question. If your strands feel heavy, maybe your spirit is carrying too much. If your hair feels brittle, maybe your boundaries have been stretched thin. If your crown glows with lightness, maybe heaven is confirming alignment. The mirror won't lie, but it won't force you either. It waits for you to listen. Notice the atmosphere when you stand there. Is it peace or pressure? Does your reflection invite gratitude, or does it whisper fatigue? This is not about vanity, it's about clarity. Your crown is the first testimony others see, but the mirror is where you see it first, and every choice made there ripples outward. Think of the mirror as rehearsal space. Before you walk into rooms where eyes will rest on you, you rehearse truth here. If you align in private, you won't stumble in public. If you ignore the signals in the mirror, you risk carrying confusion into every conversation. But if you honor the threshold, your crown becomes your ally. So don't just glance and move on. Linger, ask, discern. Let the mirror become the place where you seal alignment before you step beyond the threshold. Because once you cross it, the story your crown tells cannot be undone until you return again. Chosen one, your crown is open by design. It is meant to sense, to receive, to respond. But openness without boundaries invites interference. That is why coverings matter not as superstition, not as control, but as wisdom. Coverings are context. When to shield, when to release, when to let your hair breathe. These are decisions that shift your atmosphere more than you realize. Think of the quiet hours of sleep. Your spirit is resting, but your crown is still absorbing. Pillowcases collect more than dust. They collect memory, residue, fragments of the day you thought you left behind. That is why covering at night matters. A bonnet, a scarf, even a simple cloth. These are not fashion statements. They are shields. They mark the line between what your crown carries into tomorrow and what it leaves in yesterday. Now, picture travel. Airports, buses, crowded markets, spaces thick with energy not your own. Your hair, uncovered, becomes like an open gate. Strangers brush past, atmospheres collide, and your crown takes in signals you never asked for. But with a covering, even subtle, you mark yourself protected. It says, this crown is not common ground, it is set apart. But context is everything. A covering at the wrong time can stifle as much as it shields. If you never let your crown breathe, if you smother it with fabric out of fear, you deny it sunlight, air, and freedom. Your crown, like your spirit, needs moments of openness, of release, of standing tall without barrier. Cover when wisdom whispers, uncover when peace prevails. Before you move, ask, what space am I stepping into? If it's volatile, cover. If it's holy, uncover. If it's neutral, discern. The crown thrives not in rigid rules, but in responsive rhythms. That rhythm becomes protection without paranoia, freedom without recklessness. So remember this, coverings are not about hiding beauty, they are about guarding atmosphere. They help your crown rest, heal, and stay aligned in spaces that would otherwise drain it. And when you honor the context, your crown responds with resilience. Chosen one, scissors are not only tools of style, they are instruments of timing. Every time you trim or cut your hair, you are marking a threshold in the spirit, even if you didn't realize it. Growth and release, beginnings and endings, they all find their witness in the crown, and the scissors speak louder than you think. Think of grief. How many people instinctively cut their hair after loss? They may not explain it, but their soul knows. Something has ended, and the ends must testify or consider new callings. A sudden urge to let hair grow freely, untouched for a season that isn't laziness. That is your spirit declaring expansion, saying, I will not be confined because I am entering new ground. Let's name it clearly. Cutting is not vanity, it is signal. Growing is not neglect, it is prophecy. The scissors in your hand, the decision to trim or release, becomes a weather report of your inner world. Heaven notices. The atmosphere responds. You may have felt resistance before a haircut. That strange hesitation, even when your ends were frayed. Why? Because your spirit knew the timing wasn't yet right. Or perhaps you've walked out of a salon lighter, clearer, as if your very soul had been trimmed along with your hair. That wasn't imagination. That was alignment. So, here's wisdom. Don't cut in chaos. Don't trim in anger. Wait until peace settles, until clarity confirms. Because whatever posture you carry into the scissors gets sealed into your crown. If you cut from bitterness, the strand will remember. If you cut from freedom, the strand will testify. Scissors as signals. They are not random, they are not neutral, they are declarations. You may think you're just managing ends, but in the unseen, you're resetting seasons. So before you make that cut, pause, ask yourself, what am I really trimming? What chapter is closing? What threshold am I stepping into? And let the scissors mark the signal, not the storm. Chosen one. Let's talk about something most people overlook. Who touches your crown? Whose hands pass through your strands? Whose fingers rest against your scalp? It may look casual, but in the unseen it carries weight. Your hair is not just fiber, it is antenna, halo, witness. Every hand laid upon it leaves a trace. That is why discernment here is not paranoia. It is protection. Think of the salon chair. You sit down, you surrender, you allow tools and hands near the most visible extension of your spirit. This is not a neutral space. Energy flows through touch, and your crown absorbs it. Some stylists, some friends, even family members carry peace when their hands move through your hair. You walk away lighter. Others carry residue, envy, chaos, and when they touch your crown, you walk away heavier without knowing why. That heaviness wasn't your imagination, it was transmission. Here's the hinge. Your crown deserves consent. No hand should touch it casually. Even among those you love, you have the right to say no. And that no is not rejection, it is stewardship. The same way you would guard your home's doorway, guard the entry to your crown. It doesn't need drama, just clarity. Pray over tools before they touch your head. Whisper blessings over combs, brushes, oils. Invite peace into the space before scissors make their first snip. And when you sense a hand is not right, pull back with calm authority. You owe no explanation beyond the truth. This crown is not common ground. Hands in your hair are agreements, whether spoken or silent. Be intentional about them. A gentle touch from the right person can seal peace into your spirit. The wrong touch can tangle atmospheres that take weeks to detangle. Discernment is not fear, it is wisdom. So the next time someone reaches toward your crown, pause. Ask yourself, does this hand carry peace or weight? Does this touch honor me or burden me? Your crown will answer before your lips do. Listen and protect it with quiet strength. Chosen one, your crown does more than absorb touch and atmosphere. It also carries scent, and scent is memory. The fragrances that linger in your hair become anchors, shaping how you feel and how others perceive your presence before you speak a single word. Your crown broadcasts frequency, and fragrance is one of its strongest signals. Think of the times you've caught the faint smell of smoke, perfume, or rain in your strands. Immediately, it pulls you into a moment sometimes comforting, sometimes heavy. That is no small thing. It is your crown replaying the memory of an atmosphere, reminding you what you carried into and what carried into you. Your hair remembers in ways your mind forgets. Here's the wisdom. Choose fragrances with intention. If a scent drags you back to a version of yourself you've outgrown, it doesn't belong on your crown. If an oil or spray anchors you in peace, Let it become part of your daily covering. Don't underestimate how even a subtle fragrance can reset your frequency. Morning by morning, your choice of scent declares what atmosphere you will walk in that day. Carry this forward. Let fragrance become a devotional act. Lavender for rest, rosemary for clarity, frankincense for consecration. These are not superstitions, but reminders. They tune your crown into alignment, creating an invisible halo that others sense without knowing why, and detox from fragrances tied to old identities. If a smell drags you back into sorrow, envy, or unhealthy ties, wash it away. Let the water rinse not just your strands, but the memory embedded in them. Your crown deserves a signature scent that says peace, alignment, clarity, not to impress others, but to steady yourself, to remind you that every time the wind moves through your hair, heaven is whispering, you are covered, you are chosen, you are aligned. So let fragrance be more than cosmetic. Let it be covenant. Each time you anoint your crown with a chosen scent, you are setting frequency, sealing atmosphere, declaring truth without a single word. Chosen one, your crown is not just about today. It carries echoes of yesterday, whispers of tomorrow, threads that stretch across generations. That's why a simple evening ritual can become a holy act of restoration, not just for you, but for your bloodline. This is not spectacle, it is stillness. It is not about vanity. It is about aligning your crown with heaven's peace. Begin with cleansing. Let water flow over your hair, not rushed but intentional. Imagine it rinsing away residue from voices that never belonged to your spirit. As the water falls, whisper, every shadow departs, every delay is lifted, every heaviness dissolves. This isn't magic. It is agreement. It is you choosing clarity over clutter, freedom over fog. Then move to detangling. With patience, part strand from strand. Do not rip, do not rush. This is symbolic of separating truth from lies, releasing knots of bitterness or jealousy woven into your bloodline. As you detangle, breathe slowly. Let your spirit sense that what once tangled your lineage no longer holds you. Trim if needed. A small snip, even a single end released, is a covenant reset. It says, what was frayed ends here. New growth begins now. In the spirit, heaven honors such small acts of obedience. Scissors in your hand become testimony that you are willing to close what no longer belongs. Now speak blessings over your crown, over your family name, over generations past and generations to come. Declare that deception stops here, that restoration flows forward, that peace belongs to your house. Speak as though your words braid themselves into the very strands on your head, because in a way they do. Finally, cover. Place a scarf, bonnet or cloth over your crown, not to hide but to seal. Whisper a simple prayer. Peace remain, light remain, truth remain. Then rest. Let sleep carry you, knowing your crown has been set apart, your atmosphere guarded, your lineage blessed. Seal this with wisdom. What you did tonight is more than routine. It is restoration. It is bloodline cleansing woven into the quiet act of tending to your crown, and heaven has seen it. Chosen one, breathe now. You've walked through revelation after revelation, each strand of truth weaving itself into your spirit. Tonight, let it settle. Your crown is more than hair, it is memory, witness, halo and shield. It has spoken, and you have listened. That alone shifts everything. This is not about rules, it is about rhythm. A rhythm of washing away what no longer serves, trimming what has expired, blessing what is alive, and guarding what is sacred. oil, water, and words. Simple acts that open invisible doors. Coverings that preserve peace, scissors that signal thresholds, fragrance that seals atmosphere, hands that require consent. Each choice you make around your crown echoes far beyond appearance. Remember this: your hair is not a burden to manage, it is a banner of alignment. It reflects how far you've come, and it testifies to where you are going. Every time you honor it, heaven bears witness. Every time you speak life into it, your atmosphere shifts. So, as you move forward, don't carry this as weight. Carry it as clarity. Let the lessons walk with you, softly, daily. Guard your crown without fear, tend to it with love, and allow it to remind you again and again you are chosen, protected, and aligned. And if this message stirred something within you, don't rush past it. Sit with it, bless your crown tonight. And if you feel led, share it with someone who needs the same reminder. Because the truth is, chosen one, your crown has always been speaking. And now, finally, you are ready to answer.